Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in. Please do not forget to do the lost work. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share and comment. Today's video is a little bit of a hard video to talk about. It's a bit emotional. But we are not there. We have soldiered on, we have done it. So I'm going to just review my Korean bosses. So it's gonna be a bit of a long story because I've worked for 3 schools when I came to Korea. I first worked for a hagwon and I worked there for 14 months. Actually, that is the first red flag. I'm supposed to work for 12 months, but I've worked for 14 months. So we're gonna call this one boss A, right? Is the first school. We have our boss A, and then the second school is boss B. I have only is a kindergarten. I've only worked there for 3 months, exactly 3 months, and I was out. And then we have boss C. Boss C is my favorite of all the bosses. So we have boss A from the first school, which is in the Hagon, boss B, and also boss C. So I'm just gonna explain my story, how I got to Korea during the COVID-19 days. So I used to work in China. I worked there for almost three years and I was happy there. I was making good money. I was comfortable. I loved my city. I loved my job. And also my students really loved me. They would scream my name and make me feel like a celebrity. I used to work for a public kindergarten in China and I would have so many students in my class. So there would be 29, 28. It would be a madhouse, but they really loved me. That was nice. So I went to South Africa to visit my family. That was in February of 2020. I didn't even know I was never gonna come back because every February I'll go home and visit my family. January, February. That is the Chinese Korean Lunar New Year. So we'll normally have holidays during that time. So most people would travel to other countries, most people would travel back to their home countries. So I went home once a year because China and South Africa is very far from each other. They are very far apart. So so I went home, and that time, we've just heard about corona. We didn't know what is corona. Like, it was just like a story that we're hearing from far. And on the plane, I remember people were wearing masks, but it was not, it did not make sure at that time. So I went to South Africa as I will usually go. I got to South Africa, and now China has this big virus. And now I had to decide whether I have to go back to China. People are dying. My family was like, you cannot go back, it's too dangerous for you. And I was just thinking about my job, like if I get stuck in South Africa, what's gonna happen to me? And I mean, nobody knew corona will do the things that it did. So I literally got stuck when I decided to make this decision that I want to go back to China. And the borders got locked down. So South Africa locked down their borders and China also locked down their borders. So what does that mean? I am locked down in South Africa. I cannot go anywhere. I cannot even sneak out and say I'm gonna go through the Zimbabwean border and go to China. China closed their borders as well. So I didn't have any other choice. It was a very depressing period in my life because you used to have a job, you used to have something that keeps you busy, and now you are just sitting at home. And you used to get a salary, you used to get salary every month, but now you are not getting that anymore. I tried to reach out to my kindergarten to do something online. It didn't work out, and at that time I didn't even have Wi-Fi. I tried to record lessons and send them those lessons so I can get paid. It didn't work out because they complained about the sound. They complained about many things, and I was using my data to send those videos, those recordings. So it didn't work out, and I think at the time I fell into depression. I was so depressed because we just woke up and slept, ate, woke up, slept. We couldn't even go outside the house, I mean the gate, right? It was so bad. So anyway, I kept on hoping that China will open their borders. But China never opened their borders. They just opened recently. Just imagine if I had waited for China to open their borders, what would have happened to my life? So now I started thinking of plan B. I started applying for jobs online. I was not successful. It's like that time it was just difficult to get opportunities anywhere. So yeah, I'll just sit home, cook, clean, sleep, wake up. Sometimes I'll just like take a walk when they opened up a little bit, or jog in the morning. So that was something that I would do every day. It was my daily routine. It was very depressing. And I started looking for jobs in Japan. Japan, the borders are closed. China, I got job offers, I got contracts, maybe about 3 contracts. They say, okay, when the borders reopens, then you can just come with this contract. But those contracts even like didn't make sense anymore because it was so long. So I came to Korea. I came to Korea through an agent. It was not easy. Even Korea was not accepting teachers. I think I only had 2 interviews for Korea. And the first one, I think I was not successful. And the second one, and I was successful. And the agent was very rude. He was telling me that I have to sound American, and he was telling me that Koreans prefer Americans, so I must not be too choosy. Like, he was telling me all of that. And I was desperate at that time. And yeah, the agent eventually, because now the agent asked me to send my documents. It's something that I shouldn't have done without a contract. Never ever send an agent your documents without a contract, right? So I didn't have a contract, so I sent my documents without a contract. But they were struggling to find a school for me. They were not finding a school for me. The time was moving, and that was around August. I'm like, I sent you my documents, you're not finding any schools for me. Can I, can you bring back my documents, or can I send my documents to another agent or another school that can actually accept me, or that can actually help me? And yeah, they were just mean people from day one. From day one, I remember asking this man, like, why are you so mean? Why are you such a mean human being? Are Koreans people like that? Why are you so mean? And yeah, I was just shocked. Like, why are people so mean? I don't even know you. We just started talking. Why are you so mean? So yeah, to cut the long story short, I came to Korea. When I came to Korea, I had to quarantine for 14 days. And my agent told me I need to pay 200,000 won to quarantine. At that time, I didn't even have money. Remember, I haven't been working for a very long time, so I didn't have money. I had to borrow money from my brother, and I had to pay back that money. So my brother literally helped me to get money for the flight and money to live, to survive in Korea. So yeah, so I paid for that money, and I had to pay money for my medicals in South Africa. They are not so cheap. I had to do medicals, so they sent me a medicals form. So I did all of that, and I passed, and I got my visa. Then I came to South Korea. Then when I came to South Korea, it was so cold. It was very cold. I had to quarantine in Seoul, but the city that I was going to work at was close to Busan. So I found my driver there, and yeah, the quarantine place was very far from the airport, and I had to pay the driver that came to pick me up. And then I quarantined for 14 days, and they were just doing a lot of dodgy things, like you have to pay for your bars, you have to there were just like little monies that they wanted from me. And because I have been a teacher in China and I know how agents operated, so I asked them a lot of questions. And yeah, I scrutinized them a lot. So, but they were feeling like I was a pain on their, on a bad. I was a pain on their bad, on the bad. They started telling me that I'm so ungrateful. So I forgot to mention one thing. So I think 2 days after I have entered China, Korea closed the borders again for South Africans, because of the virus. It was going up and down. So they closed borders. They told me, oh, you are so lucky, you managed to enter Korea at the time you entered because they just closed the borders. I was like, yeah, that's great. I'm so lucky. And they started, yeah, when I got to the quarantine place, it was not nice at all. And before going to the quarantine place, I didn't have any food, so they told me, go and buy your own food. So at that time, I don't even know the Korean food. I don't know what is what, right? So my driver took me to the store and he helped me. He was actually very nice. He helped me to choose the kind. Actually, I couldn't even get out of the car because I first had to go and test. So I just, I was wearing hand gloves. He was wearing hand gloves. It was mask. I was sitting at the back, long distance. So he took my money because I had to exchange money at the airport. I didn't find, like in South Africa, I didn't find any place that I could exchange money. So at the airport is very expensive. They charge you a lot for exchanging money. And I had to buy a SIM card, a temporary SIM card to communicate with my agent and stuff like that. So it was also very, very expensive. So at that time, I don't have enough money already. So I have to buy my own food. I have to buy my own SIM card. I have to pay this driver. I have to pay for the bus that will take me from Seoul to my new apartment or to my new school. That is close to Busan. So I told them I don't have money to pay for this bus. I cannot pay for this bus. That's what I told them because it was just becoming too much. And the driver still had to take me from my quarantine home to the bus terminal. And the quarantine home was not good at all. It was a very small room and I had to sleep on the mattress. And at that time I didn't know that sleeping on the mattress is the thing in Korea. So I was like, where is the bed? I want to sleep on the bed. And the mattress was so thin. Sleeping on a mattress is one thing, but a thin mattress. And yeah, then the guy, they said to me I should go by myself. At that time I don't even have enough data. I don't have enough data. So they told me you have to use your Google Map to go to go and test for COVID. And this is in the middle of Seoul. I just entered Korea and I don't know what is what. What do you mean? Then it was so cold as well. I went outside and my mobile data was not working well. I went back inside. I said, there is no way I can go there. The driver must come and pick me up and take me there, or otherwise I'm staying in the house. And then they arranged the driver to come and pick me up, and we went there. I tested for my COVID. That time everyone was covering themselves. Like, if you are a foreigner, it's like your coronavirus is bigger than theirs, right? So yeah, they did this nose whatever that I hated so much. It is so uncomfortable. And yeah, I got tracked as well. Like, I didn't have to leave my room, so I stayed in my room for 14 good days. I celebrated my Christmas and my New Year in that room. So luckily there was Netflix, so I watch Netflix, I'll watch YouTube, I'll sleep, get up, eat, shower. That was my daily routine every day. And I'll feel sad. I mean, I cannot even go outside the house, right? I only went outside the house 2 times. So when I first tested for COVID, and also when I had to test 3 days before the 14 days ends, I had to do another test and they were both negative. And now the driver had to come and pick me up. I packed my bags and we went to the bus terminal. He gave me my bus ticket and I went to the city that I was supposed to be teaching at. It is close to Yangsan. I found my boss there waiting for me with her little sister. They gave me a hug. I'm like, wow, I'm even receiving a hug. It means I'm in a good place. I was starting to feel comfortable, so my boss could speak a good English. She studied in Canada, so it made things easier. They helped me with my bags. Then when I got to the apartment, I meet someone else, the current teacher who is leaving, that I'm supposed to be taking her place. And then you're gonna be sharing with this lady. Then I'm still trying to process, oh, we are sharing. Why didn't they book me a place to stay until she moves out? And she's sleeping on the mattress, right? And then we spoke. Luckily the lady was from South Africa. We spoke. She told me about the things that she feels about the boss, the school. For me, I didn't see anything wrong with the boss. I'm like, girl, there's something wrong with you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the boss. You are the problem, honey. So that's how I felt at that time. And then she just, like, I didn't say it out loud because the boss was so super nice. She was actually extra nice. And she had to finish her last 2 days or last 3 days. So I would go there. Yeah, it actually do. It was just one night or 2 nights. So I would sleep on my head the other side. She would sleep on her head the other side. This is a stranger. I am a stranger to her. We are strangers to each other, and yet we are sleeping in one bed. Then that was another red flag, right? So when I was at the school, they asked me to do a demo in front of this teacher and in front of her. And then she made sure to say, oh, Lebo, the kids really love you. She wanted to say it in front of the outgoing teacher so that she hears it. For me, I was like, thank you. That was another red flag. Like, it was like a shade. It's like she was throwing a shade at the outgoing teacher. So for me, I was happy that, okay, I'm being accepted. They like me. But I didn't like how she said that. So the other teacher, she doesn't care. I mean, she's going to a new school. She doesn't have to deal with her anymore. And she left one morning. She left and it was me and the boss. We had to go to the immigration and do the papers, the bank cards and stuff like that. So she'd come and collect me. And we were just talking in the car and she'll be like, she asked me, before we got there, I told her like I paid for my quarantine, and she was so surprised. She's like, I gave the agent 500,000 to pay for your quarantine, but this agent told me I had to pay 200,000. So it means they actually maybe stole her money. They took her 500,000, and maybe that place was 200,000 for 2 weeks. So it's either they took my money or they took her money, but someone's money was taken. First of all, I was shocked by that. I was very sad because this is the money that I didn't have. I didn't have this money. So I actually did tell my boss, like, I don't have enough money. She was like, no problem. This is your, I'm going to give you your flight money. And she gave me my flight money. That really helped me because I was getting broke. Remember, I just paid for a 14,000 flight. I paid for the medicals. I paid for the quarantine, for the SIM cards, for the food. So I already spent a lot, you know. So now she's like, oh, you also have, my boss is like, oh, you also have to pay half your salary to the agent for 3 months, isn't it? And I am shocked. I'm like, what? It's like, oh, oh, the previous teacher did that. Like, no, they didn't do that with me. So I knew these agents were scammers from the word go. I knew like these agents were scammers from the way they first started talking to me. From their approach, they are so aggressive, they are so arrogant, right? So then I knew, wow, okay. But they didn't do that with me because I was not so easy with them. I asked them a lot of questions, and they knew I used to be a teacher in China, so they kind of like knew what was going on. So the previous teacher, it was her first time being a teacher. She didn't know anything, and um when she came to Korea, they made her sign two contracts, the agent contract and the contract from the school. So the agent contract says they're gonna cut off half of her salary for three months, and she signed for it. And when she got here, she found out that she started crying, but she already signed. She didn't know. She's still a brand new teacher from South Africa. She's never been a teacher before. She's never traveled abroad. So yeah, so they did her dirty, if I may put it that way. So they did me dirty, but they did her dirtier. All right. So I worked for that school. My boss my boss was nice some days. I feel like she was a very pretentious person. She pretended, and sometimes you can't keep up with the pretendance, right? You can't keep pretending. The real you will come out. So sometimes she'll be so mean, she'll be so rude. And there was a situation with the bank card, and she was just a mean person. She made me apologize to students. She made me do crazy, like, I just don't want to go into details, because this video is going to be super 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 long if I explain every story. But when I got there, the contract was supposed to be 12 months. She made me sign 14 months. So I had to sign a second contract. So at that time, I didn't have a choice because I'm still new. I've been unemployed for almost a year. I just want to work and get money. And I signed that 14 months contract. And she made me work under freelance visa, something like that. So, like, she did me dirty in many ways. And yeah. So I only got to find out that actually I'm working under freelance. I'm not working as yeah, something like that. But that process actually made the immigration not to renew my visa for 1 year on the new contract. I was only allowed to renew my visa for 6 months. And she knew all of this. She pretended as if she doesn't know what is going on. So this is the person that I was dealing with. And I've never been absent since I started working there. And there was a day that I wanted to go to the embassy to sign something under oath. She made me look for a teacher and deducted money from my salary. I mean, I have been there every day. I didn't even take my sick leave days. So she was this kind of a person, and the salary was low. Remember, at that time I had 4 years teaching experience, right? 4 years, if not 5 years. So my salary was below 2 million, and she was deducting maintenance, she was deducting the utilities, insurance, and all of that. So I will end up at 1.7 something million. Yeah, that was another thing. And at that school, my classes my classes were more than all the teachers. And I do know that Korean teachers earn more money than foreigners. So I had maybe 26 class, another teacher would have maybe 24, all the rest will have less classes. So I had more classes, and I was getting paid less money. I mean, you can do anything, but don't mess up with my money, right? Pay me. If you want me to work super hard, and pay me. And sometimes she will make comments like, you are an experienced teacher. I think you should, you should know this by now. She'll make such remarks. But I'm like, with the salary that you are giving me, you should know that I should get more. Actually, I did try to complain to her, but she didn't try to increase my salary, because it was like, you already signed a contract. You already knew what you were letting yourself into. And okay, with the agents, I actually had a big fallout with them. I told them, I'm going to report you. They said, they threatened to sue me for defamation of character. I'm like, go and sue me. I've got all the screenshots. Yeah, they were like, I've got all the screenshots and blah 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 blah. That's what I said to them. Like, you can go, because I was so angry. Like, how can you do this to me? This is the money that I didn't have. This is the money that I struggled to get, and you just come and take it away from me. And yeah, then they were like, oh, if you behave like this, we're not gonna help you find a job in at the end of the contract. And I told them, I don't need you anymore. Like, it was so bad. I was so angry. I was crying, and they still had the audacity that to tell me that they are not gonna help me find a job. I'm already in Korea. I can find a job myself. You find me a job because I was it was difficult to come to Korea at that time. I really didn't need you. Like, now I can easily apply for a job from South Africa and come to Korea without an agent. But at that time, it was so hard. It was so difficult. So at that, yeah, they apologized. They had to apologize, because they can see I'm not even buying into their nonsense. Yes, they apologized, and I never spoke to them ever since. But yeah, the lady agent, it was a man and a lady. The lady agent, that year, she wished me a happy birthday. I just said thank you. Because she was hoping maybe we can have a conversation so they can find me a school, because that's what they did with the previous teacher. I asked her, like, why are you still using the same agents to find you a school after what they did to you? They took half of your salary for 3 months, and you still use them to find your next school. How can you are already in Korea? So I was so upset with her for doing that. But that's a story for another day. Anyway, so I left that school. I loved the kids. My co-workers were very nice, except for one co-worker. It doesn't matter. But yeah, my kids were very, very nice, and they loved me. I loved them too. When I left, they bought me so many gifts, so many candies. They gave me hugs. It was really sad. And yeah, my boss also came and gave me her fake hug, because she's such a fake person. Yeah, I feel like this video is longer than I had expected. So I left Boss A, and there was a new South African teacher that was coming after me. She wanted to do the same thing. We should share a bed. And at that time, I had a very close friend. I was like, I'm not sharing a bed with a stranger. I've done it last year. It's not nice. I'm going to sleep at my friend's place. Then I cleaned the house. It was smelling good. It was nice. I packed everything. The new girl came, and she worked there. She was happy to get a job too. And I just told her, this is not a place to live. You girl, if you find a way to live, you have to live. And yeah, then she came, I showed her around. I showed her the classes she observed. But I was sleeping at my friend's house, and she was sleeping there, and the boss found out that I'm not sleeping with her. And then the girl actually did explain to her, like, it's not good because we are strangers, especially for us South Africans, and blah blah. And she asked her, where is she sleeping? Where is Lebo sleeping? And she said, I don't know where she's sleeping, but she's not sleeping there. It's not like we are best friends, so I don't know where she's sleeping. And yeah, even before that, I told my boss what she's doing is not good. You can't make me sleep with a stranger. So my boss has this thing of bashing the teachers that are leaving because they refused to renew the contract. So before I decided that I'm leaving, I already knew that I was gonna leave. I did my 14 months, and severance pay was not even 14 months, it was only for 12 months. Like, I got knocked. I feel like I got knocked so badly. So anyway, I got, yeah, a severance pay. Yeah, I for the 12 months. And yeah, so I was staying at my friend's place until I left to the new school. Okay, the new school is gonna be part 2 with Boss B. I'm gonna end this video here because it has become longer than I actually had imagined. I actually just wanted to talk about my bosses, but I actually covered the agents and Boss A. So in the next video, I'm going to talk about Boss B and Boss C. Boss C is my favorite. It's my current school. I don't have any bad things to say about Boss B, but Boss C, but I have a lot to say about Boss B. Yes, and that's how I left. And the teacher that took over after me didn't last for a long time. She got a job in Hong Kong, and I advised her to do a night run because she was just there for almost 3 months. And she was doing her pretentious things. My boss A was pretending, even buying her a blouse, telling her, worshipping her. That's what she did to me when I first arrived. And she would bash the other teacher to make me feel good and feel welcomed, right? She did the same with the new teacher. The new teacher came, of course, she came and she told me everything. And I'm like, that's how she is. That's what she did with me as well. So I didn't resign like 3 months before we had a meeting. She asked me, are you going to resign? I said, this city is a bit lonely, it's in the outskirts. I feel really lonely and the salary is not good. So she told me, I'm going to give you 2 weeks to make a decision. I don't want you to decide now. We want to keep you here. The kids love you. You are such a good teacher. She was praising me. She was actually praising me. But when I decided not to sign, she was bashing me. So, okay, so that 2 weeks I already applied and I already got a job that's paying more money, honey. So I told her, I actually got a job. They're offering me this much. If you are willing to pay for this amount, I would stay. But if you are not, I'm a gone girl. And she said, oh, unfortunately, within that 2 weeks, when I was still thinking about it, she was treating me like a queen. She was treating me like the most important person in that school, so she can keep me. So I felt so important all of a sudden. I felt so appreciated all of a sudden. But that was just an act. That's what she's good at. She's good at acting. She's an actress. I think Boss A should receive like a trophy. She should get like an award, an Oscar, because she's good at it. And immediately after I told her that I'm not renewing, I'm not staying, she switched. She became who she is. She became the person that she really is, right? So I kind of like figured that out. I kind of like knew it. Like, this is all an act because I've been with this person for 14 months not to know, or most of the months not to know. So yeah, that was basically that. I'm gonna go to part 2 with boss B and boss C. So this was my entrance into Korea and my experience with the agents and boss A, my boss A. Okay guys, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Bye.